places of work, and that in layman's term, we can say that we're walking into a life-threatening situation or an environment where should there be an emergency, particularly if there's a fire, an emergency such as a fire, that there aren't, our spaces are not equipped with the firefighting devices that is supposed to prevent and to save lives and to help all of these crowded schools in many instances help the learners and our teachers to be in a safe space, because every flat, every section, and the regulation states every section is supposed to be equipped with a large fire extinguisher. Every classroom is supposed to be equipped with a small fire extinguisher, or that there must be sand buckets. And so the reality here is, when we examine closely what the working environment is as it relates to the safety of our teachers, we compromise on all of these things. We still go. We go into every section. We go our the public servants who are there as in the form of sweeper cleaners and janitors and handymen and all of these people. They go into these spaces, and many of our buildings are suffer a lot of electrical problems. But notwithstanding all of these, we're still there every day giving of our services, notwithstanding the fact that we're operating in an environment that poses a threat, because it is not retrofitted with the devices and the apparatuses that is supposed to be life-saving. Let's get down to the issue of the class size. And so working conditions in itself, quite a number of anomalies there that needs addressing. But coming back to this whole issue too of our class sizes, teachers are operating under strenuous conditions. Many of our schools have outgrown their spaces, and this is the harsh reality, right? When a school's population is pegged at a particular level, or for a school to be graded, we're utilizing spaces such as open spaces, auditorium spaces, in many cases not even separated by way of screens, where noise levels sometimes are very unbearable. But teachers are working not in discrete classrooms, on an open plan, and that the class sizes by themselves leaves a whole lot to be desired. Because while the standards recommend, or the standards stipulate that, for example, at the primary level, the teacher to child ratio is 1:20, right? With a minimum being 15 in the coastal plain, and in the hinterland areas, it's 10 minimum, right? At the primary level, the ratio is one teacher to 25 pupils, that is grades 1 to 2, and in the grades 3 to 6, 1:35. In the secondary, the minimum standard is for the coastal is 1 teacher to 20 learners, and in the deep riverine is 1 to 15. Now we've got to evaluate these numbers as stipulated in the standards versus what there is in reality. And we know as teachers that we all confront on a daily basis large class sizes, not in discrete classrooms, in open settings in many instances. And of course, the furniture and every other thing is an issue for us, because these are the circumstances under which teachers are operating. I know that in the interest of time, it is impossible for us to touch on almost all of it is outrageous when you begin to examine all of the other categories that the standards highlight. And of course, we will not be able to do that. That will require a very special forum. But of course, at this point in time, I just want to say thanks for me being able to highlight these to us, and to say that notwithstanding, again, maybe I'm reiterating the point, that notwithstanding all of these challenges, that are posed to us daily in our place, our working environment, we present ourselves resolutely and dedicatedly. We serve. And here we are now, even though we're compromising on the Ministry of Education standards for the working environment, why can't they seek to cross the floor and to meet us halfway in this simple compromise to pay teachers a livable salary? If we can compromise, and we are continuously compromising, having to put ourselves through these challenging working conditions every day at our places of work, why not compromise with us and to give us a livable salary? And so it's going to be a win-win situation for all. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome. You see, the presenters, you're hearing it from the presenters. And I saw in the chat that there are 24 female teachers to 1 washroom at some schools. And I could speak, and that Brother Imran is so true, because at my school, we have compromised significantly in terms of washroom for the sake of the children. And a lot of times we take for granted that it creates a problem for the health of our teachers. So we turn a blind eye to a lot of things when it comes to the non-academic standard. And I want to say, if the non-academic standard is to be enforced, a lot of the schools will be closed because teachers would have a right to go home. Somebody's saying to treat female teachers to 2 washrooms. And that's the reality. And you know, all we are saying now, while government is working to address these concerns, and we are making the necessary sacrifice, address the salary matter so that we can move along and allow time for those others. And mind you, the non-academic standard was written a very long time ago. Brother Imran, probably you could cite from the document you have there when it was put together. We are in 2024 and we're still not observing some of those things that we've written. All right. So thank you again, Brother Imran, for sharing. And we now move to Sister Rewati. I would want to have Sister Rewati talking about the challenges, how she deals with her salary, or the salary of a female. It don't have to be yours personally. Go ahead, my sister.
Good day, everyone. I'm very honored to have been selected to be a part of this discussion. So my name is Rewati Prasad, and I'm a non-graduate senior assistant mistress at the primary level. Now, as a mother of 2 boys, months old, it's an honor to have this opportunity to share with you how my salary influences my monthly expenditures and the challenges it creates. I'm currently in the 2nd phase of completing my bachelor's degree. Thus, my gross salary is $169,000. And my net salary is $142,000 after deductions such as insurance and taxes. Ideally, I would like to think that my living expenses can be taken care of by my net salary. However, we all know that this is not a realistic approach. Making a very detailed budget is a part of my daily life. And I use the word, it's a part of our daily life. And I use the word our because my net salary encompasses the expenditure for both myself and my 2 sons. Other than typical living expenses, such as electricity, water, food, and internet, parts of my budget include line items such as daily school transportation costs for my eldest son, which varies from $4,000 to $6,000 monthly. His after-school lessons, which is about another $6,000 monthly, an expenditure of taking care of a growing teenager whose body changes regularly. And don't let me get started on how much teenagers eat in your house, especially boys. My youngest son who is just 7 months old, uses at least 2 packs of Pampers, which is about $7,000 per month, along with 2 large boxes of Infamil, that's about $18,000 to $19,000 monthly. Now, these are just costs for his 2 most essential items. If I'm to factor in the cost of barley flour to make porridge, Pear soap to bathe him, glycerine wipes, and other needed items, that would skyrocket my budget to a degree where I'm constantly adjusting other necessary items, which also are essential to providing a good quality of life for my children. At this point, I wonder where in the budget do I factor in self-care for myself so that I can be an effective educator, and therein lies another challenge with my net salary. I constantly wonder if the rise in inflation rates factor into the consideration how salary scales are derived and if they're realistic in their assumptions when this is happening. Let me just let you know it's a blessing that I live in walking distance of the school, so transportation costs are not added as yet. This brings me to the point of how I need to supplement my net salary if I'm endeavoring to provide a good quality of life for my children. Most months, for me to meet the needs of myself and my family, I rely on after-school lessons that I conduct at my home with the consent of parents, of course. These after-school lessons help to fill the gaps. And while they are instrumental in providing much-needed financial help, I must sacrifice spending quality time with my children, especially since my eldest son is currently working on completing school-based assessments, and my newborn is growing up without me around to capture his various developmental milestones. Of course, let's throw into the mix that ability to save. How many of us are able to save some of the disposable income from our net salary that allows us to put towards an actual long-term saving? Or even worse, can we think of saving as a line item on our budget and cater for it from planning? It is quite embarrassing to admit that some months I'm unable to save anything. And if I have additional expenses, or my family wants to go for a celebration or a simple recreational activity, I need to reach out to my siblings or my family overseas for additional financial assistance. Like many of my colleagues, I work very hard to educate and equip myself with the skills to ensure my learners are knowledgeable and that they become useful to society after their school lives. Why does my salary not reflect my labor, dedication, and commitment to this country's educational goal? Why is it that my salary is incapable of sustaining me and my family? Why is it that teachers must continue to live from paycheck to paycheck? How is the integral role that we play in shaping the educational goals of society being demonstrated in our net salary? Balancing a career and motherhood is indeed challenging, but I am quite confident, Mr. President, that a livable wage to combat the high cost of living will allow me to provide for my family more effectively. Not only that, but it will create a work-life balance that will influence my ability to always be present in the classroom versus the mental worry of having to meet the needs of my family. I leave you with a quote by Amy B. Lyman. Paying people a fair wage is a sign of respect and acknowledgement for the value of people's contribution to the business. When people are treated fairly and with respect, they will provide unparalleled level of support and commitment inside business and to customers. Everyone is more successful when people are paid a livable wage. And as Jim Rohn rightfully said, and I quote, "You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to that hour." As a teacher and a mother, all I'm asking for is a livable wage. I thank you.
Awesome, 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 Mr. Rewati. And I hear the emotion in your voice. And I'm sitting here and I'm just being brave not to shed a tear or two because I sense the hardship. And this is what I've been saying as president of the Teachers Union. The teachers who are affected, the larger percentage of teachers, and you captured it so vividly. And my heart as president of the Teachers Union and the heart of my executives, we go out to teachers of this nation who do human sacrifice. And you said paying people a wage that is not livable. All right, take it easy, sis. Paying people a salary that is not livable. I didn't mean to make it actually come out, but it's what it is. Paying people a salary that is not livable is a sign of disrespect. A sign of disrespect. And persons will go to all length to justify that we must try other means. And it is really sad. That was a very, very touching and emotional presentation. And I want to thank the sister for making it true. I was calculating at 20%, as persons are saying we unreasonable with a 20%. On the teachers at the lowest scale, a 20% will give them $19,000 more on their salary. And what Miss just said, the Pampers alone is $19,000 for her 7-month-old son. Take it easy, Miss Mahela. The Pampers alone, and I see in the comments a lot of my colleagues are tearing up, That was personal. That was real coming from the heart of a teacher. And I would like you to send that presentation to us. I believe you have it documented. Send it to us, and we will have it posted without your personal credentials on our Facebook page. And my other presenters, the other presenters on this panel, you had your presentations written, we can have them because this is critical. Hearing from you, the practicing teachers across the length and breadth of Guyana. I thought I was going to share something in between, but I'll let it flow. Hold it up, Brother Samaru. He who feels it knows it. And this is really impacting on a lot of our teachers. Brother Durga.
Oh, sorry.
You are up next to talk about why males are shying away from the teaching profession. And Brother Durga, are you here? Please put your camera on, and can we unmute him?
I think he is able to unmute because he's co-host. Should
Your camera, sir?
No.
Brother Durga?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
While the brother is getting himself ready.
Can he?
We're not seeing you,
Yes.
sir. We'd like to see you. Just spin into the screen, sir.
He's on, Brother President. His camera is on as well, and we were hearing him just now.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Thank you for
afternoon.
having me. Why males are shying away from the teaching profession? Please permit me to share a part of this article which will form the basis of my presentation. According to the Guyana Chronicle dated the 30th of November 2023, addressing the graduates at the Sir Potter College of Education 89th graduation ceremony, Honorable Prime Minister, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, and I want to quote his words: "Your choice to enter this new profession is a testament to your belief. in the power of education to transformation life. Your impact is significant in developing countries. Your roles as teachers are crucial to the shaping of our future. However, at the heart of our strategy is recognizing that the key to achieving these goals lies in having a dedicated, qualified, and passionate career of teachers. We believe that meaningful incentives and proper remuneration are essential. Here is where our Honorable Prime Minister is talking about meaningful incentives and proper remuneration are essential. So recognizing the important contribution of our educators in molding the mind of our youth. The Prime Minister also added that more men are needed in the education system, as only 13% of the graduating batch are men. And I want to say that that year, 2023, we had the largest batch, which was 1,796 teachers. Out of those 1,796 teachers graduated, 13%, which is equivalent to mere 233 males. You know, in Guyana, the real sad reality is the salary that is being paid to a teacher cannot maintain a family of 2 persons, much less having children to feed. It is extremely difficult for a man to provide for his family with a pittance, with the pittance given. This time, when cost of living has skyrocketed, males found it easier to make more money and elevate themselves stress-free. Example, by going into mining, construction work, fishing, etc. I must let you know also, there are some policies in our education system. And you know, as males, we are the chief disciplinarian. And so because of certain policies in the education system, it is causing us to not wanting to enter into teaching because of what is happening in the education system. Because of policy, there is a breakdown in moral principles, whereby students tend to behave in manners that are not accepted and enter the school system and dress in certain manner, wearing certain hairstyle, and so we cannot really mold them how we want to. And as males, when we try to discipline them, our hands are actually tied because of policies. So what happens? Sometimes they are suspended and they go and they come back with the same behavior. Sometimes they are sent to the welfare and they come back worse. So males cannot take that, so what they will do? They realize they cannot function in that environment or in a system like that, so they pull themselves away because they realize the stress and the system cannot remunerate them, so to speak. So they take their services elsewhere. You know, males also, in our society, you refer to them as the main breadwinners. And males, they are the ones who are responsible for, let's say, they will get help from their wives or the females or the other partners, but they are the ones who are supposed to spearhead and build, providing a house, maybe transportation, and so on, and to make the family comfortable. But when the males do check up and they look at the pittance that we are receiving, our meager salary, they realize that it will take them a whole lifetime to build a house, and it might not be completed. It might be halfway or something. You know, it depends on what you're doing. So hence, what will happen? they realize that they have to get this money and make more money. So what they will do, they will move away and go into other areas where they can use more money so as to own these assets and comfort for their family. And I want to say this, that males, because of their makeup, they always, no matter what, you might hear some negative criticism and so on, but males always wanted the best for their family. And so they will try their best, and then you cannot remunerate them for their services to maintain their family. They will have to go on. Now, it is easier here in Guyana for someone, a male, to set up a business and make more money than going into the teaching profession. And so what happens? Even though some of those students who would have graduated there last November, I'm certain when they're finished with their contract, they will move on. They will just use this as a stepping stone because they cannot be remunerated for their services, and so hence they will move on. So what will happen? They will go and set up their business. As simple as a car wash, which does not entail a lot of assets to start it, and so they start from there and they build. And so you cannot, and you will not be able to have those males back into the system. Our social life. When you look at our social lives as teachers, as male teachers, it is only because of the few, the 20% or under male teachers that are in the system. We are there because we have more than one extra job. And so that is what is cushioning us that, and because we love the profession, we stay in the profession. So we are doing these extra jobs to maintain ourselves and our family. And it is sad to know that on one Friday, after the end of a hard week, a stress week because of the system, you cannot even go with your friends or invite your friends to sit and chat and drink tea market. As simple as that. You have to be keeping yourself away from certain social groups and certain activities because you definitely cannot afford it. So what will happen? All these things, the males, they are seeing, they are feeling, and hence they move on. They don't want teaching because in the layman's term, it cannot pay them. It cannot help them maintain their family. The other thing, qualification. Our ministry always asks us to make sure we qualify ourselves and get the highest level of qualification. But when persons would have gone through the stress and the expenses and qualifying themselves, when you look at the other side, the remuneration packages, it's not equivalent, it's not balanced. So what will happen? Someone with a master or a doctorate will move on and they will move into another field where it will be brain drain for the education system, but they will go into another field because of the amount of money or what they can make there and to enhance and live a better life. And so these are just a few that our males are going through while they are not joining the system or they are shying away from the system. Besides that, how the system is going, we as males, the male teachers, we cannot set certain standards in the school and up to a way we can be role models. But what will happen? Because there are not enough males in the school system, we have a high rate of indiscipline. And as I said earlier, because of some policies, and we always like to copy some policies, we are not looking at our needs basically. And so that is why our males, they tend to move away from the system because they cannot use their skills, their knowledge as they're supposed to in molding our children. I thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent, Brother Durgo. And you've captured another, and you see our presenters are all educators, teachers, and they speak from the heart. You talk about the extra duties that males would have to undertake to make ends meet. Doing extra duties or moving away for the mere reason that they needed to earn more to provide for their families. So they go into construction, they go into farming, they go into mining, logging, and you name the other professions that the males go to. And that has a direct impact on the education sector because there is a breakdown, a massive breakdown in discipline, and not only in the education sector, but you don't see the kind of role models, educated role models, persons who are educators as role models in every school, right? And male. So the guys are not seeing that kind of model, so they move away, and it leads to a breakdown in law and order in our society as well. So thank you, Brother Durga. Such an amazing presentation. And I know that those are males that are still in the profession understand what the brother is saying, because there's so much outside that offers more resources. But we are staying with this profession, dealing with the challenges because we understand the importance of us remaining here. That is why we continue to call on the government of the day, governments of the future, and governments of the past to address teachers' salary. And it seems as though every time we have to talk about teachers' remuneration, it got to culminate with a strike for our voices to be heard. And this is something that must not happen as we go forward. So again, thank you, Brother Durga, for that wonderful presentation. And now we'll take our final panelist, Brother Martin Samaru. You have the floor, sir. He will speak on what would be a livable salary for teachers. And I know the brother will have his numbers there for us. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Dr. Light, for the privilege again. What would be a livable salary for the teacher? I want to put in the word average teacher there because I like dealing with statistics from a majority point of view. But however, there are some statements I'm going to make. I would like to let you know that an average teacher in the Guyana diaspora is an assistant master or an assistant mistress. And according to statistics, AMs make up more than 60% of teachers in Guyana. But the truth is, to answer this with a specific number or percentage, it would be unfair. To answer this question across the board would be unfair because there are a number of considerations to be made when making an assessment of this sort or answering this question. Family size, location, expenses, all of those concerns are valid because prices and services, goods and services, the prices vary based on location. Prices are sometimes doubled and tripled in some cases in hinterland locations. So to come with a specific number or percentage is not something that I would want to do. What I would want to do is turn your attention to some statistics and numbers. I would have done some digging, crunched some numbers, and would have reached out to colleagues across the diaspora to find out what their expenses are and how they make ends meet with the current salary. And as we analyze these numbers, you would be able to see for yourself, those of you joining on Facebook or parents and even colleagues across the country, you would get a clear picture of why we set 20% in the interim. Allow me to share my screen so we can analyze some numbers for ourselves. I am now going to enter screen sharing mode. Please permit me a second to pull up these statistics. So what this basically is my personal expense, monthly expense. It's approximate, it's average. I was very generous. And some figures may have changed from the last time I presented this to now because of inflation. So we're looking there at a non-graduate senior assistant master's salary of approximately 142,000 take home. 169,000 would be gross, but the take home is 142,000. Looking at this here, we start with GPL. We're looking at the electric utility, $25,000. The reason why it's like that is because I also take care of my parents' cost as well. And we're looking at GWI, which is the water utility, is $2,500. Drinking water, $10,000. Internet, $8,000. And you can look at the numbers there. But at the end of it all, when I total it up, I end up with an expense monthly on average of $203,300. Bearing in mind, I did not mention I belong to a church. I'm a leader of a church. I'm an elder of a church, so I believe in charity and in tithe and offering. So I did not mention that. I do not have to pay rent. I didn't include stuff like clothing, health, savings, emergency fund, car and house maintenance, entertainment, family allowance, vegetables, insurance, garbage disposal, and all of those things. I did not include all of those things. So you're looking at it there, with a salary of $142,000, I'm left in a deficit of $61,300. These are numbers, real numbers from real teachers across the country. I'm going on to another one here very quickly. This here is a graduate head teacher. Salary take home is $205,000. Now, because she resides in the interior, in the Pomeroon, to be specific, they don't have any utilities to pay there. So for groceries, she has 50. Travel and work related, that's stuff related to her work, all right? And she would have mentioned to me that many times signatures are next to amounts. When she traveled on school business, signatures are attached there and she would not receive anything. Sometimes the entire year goes by before that money is refunded. So 27,000 for work related, personal travel 20,000, healthcare 15,000, and the list goes on. So she also told me, have to be very careful because you don't want to get personal information out there, that the construction of her home is 6 years and counting, and she has budgeted $200,000 a month to take care of the construction of her home. You can imagine how expensive things are to get into the river. So we're looking at a total of $402,000. Her salary is $205 and a deficit of $197,000. So if we are to answer this question based on these two statistics that would have been shown to you, you can start to imagine and you can understand why 20% is more than reasonable. And we'll get to that in a few. Just want to go through another one very quickly. This is an assistant mistress, all right? An assistant mistress of a salary take home of $127,000. At the end of it all, for her expenses, total expenses, $277,500. Her salary is $126,988, which leaves her at the end in a deficit of $150,000. She has a child who is chronically ill and requires special medical care, special food, medication, and that kind of stuff. So you can imagine, moving on very quickly, don't want to bore you. Another one, family of 4, salary size, she's a graduate head of department, $225,000 take home. Looking at this here, she said she gave a very, very rough sketch because she only sent this to me in the morning. So her total expense is $229,000. You would notice that there are many things left out from her short list there. And her salary is $225,000, leaves her in a deficit of $4,000 every single month. Now, this particular one here is another assistant mistress with an approximate salary of $127,000. Her total expense for the month, $285,000, with a salary of $127,000, leaving her in a deficit of $158,000. I did some further crunching of numbers and found out that 20% increase will give her $151,000, which will still leave her in a deficit of 6,000 some odd change at the end of the month. Now, I have one more here to share with you. Let me see if I can get this here. Can someone let me know if they're seeing this screen here? I really want, this one is very important.
Yes.
All right, so we're looking now with a comparison to the Minister of Education salary and benefits. Very important. So I totaled up all 5 of those teachers' expenses for the month, and it adds up to $1,396,500. The minister's salary and benefits is $1.8 million. So this minister is actually left with a surplus of $400,000 at the end of the month, even when she takes care of 5 teachers' expenses for the month. 5. Now, there are some things you need to understand. You need to understand that when the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with all of their affiliates, which includes DPI, Newsroom, and all the other sorts, they put out statistics to show salaries of teachers, and they left out the largest category of workers. I'm hammering this point because they know fully well why they did that. So to compare their salaries, you're comparing the numbers, you're looking at all that they would have said, you would understand that 20% is not unreasonable at all. Looking at the 20% there, you can say that that is a start. It is a start to what we're looking for. But to come out brazen on a press conference and say that that is outlandish and that is unreasonable, it is absolutely not unreasonable. Why? Because you would have seen the numbers there. You would understand that the struggles of the teachers are real. Look, in some cases in the hinterland, you pay $18,000 for gas, for cooking gas. For a bag of rice, where on the coast, you might get it for $8 or whatever, it's 18, 20, and so on up in there. Things are very expensive. So I would not go so far as to say a percentage that we're looking for. But what I do need to let you understand is that we need to be compensated for the work that we do. And if we're saying, you know, the breakdown of society and delinquency and everything is on the rise, you can understand why it's so. It's because the educators have to be doing 2 and 3 and 4 jobs to make ends meet. They can't take care of their children. They're taking care of other people's children more than their own. And at the end of the day, they get nothing. They are left trying to balance the sheet at the end of the month. They don't know where it's going to come from. And it's only by the grace of God that they have been doing it. You need to understand, it's only with the help of persons overseas, relatives overseas, doing odd jobs here and there just to make ends meet. And at what cost? At the cost of spending valuable time with their family. Miss said that she is away from her 7-month son because she's so busy in the classroom with her studies and everything that she can't get to catch key moments in her child's development, all because why? The salary cannot take care of her family, and it puts a lot of pressure on her. I don't want to get too far into this, but I hope that somebody's conscience is tickled. Matter of fact, not tickled, but seared. It must be imprinted upon your frontal lobe what teachers are going through in this country. And for all of those persons on Facebook, download the section where we have all of these statistics and share them with the powers that be. It's easy for you to sit comfortably in an office with $1.8 million a month and to say we're being unreasonable. When unreasonable is $25,000, that 20% is $25,000, $19,000, whatever the case is for teachers across the board. It's easy for you to say that this is too much, but what do you have? Can you survive on a teacher's salary? I dare any one of the powers that be, those who are in key offices, take my salary, give me yours. Let's see who will prosper in a few months. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I am so, yes, the right word, Tasha, goosebumps. Because the reality is, the numbers don't lie, Brother Samaru. The numbers don't lie, colleagues. The brother has shown different categories of workers and looked at the salary and the deficit. The question is, where do these teachers get to cover that deficit? What do they do to cover the deficit? Deficit is running in the red, as we say, you're running at a loss. So that presentation was powerful, Brother Samaru. We're going to be sharing those statistics on our page so that persons who didn't get it during the presentation, you visit the page, and all the presentations that were done by the 6 presenters will be shared with you. Awesome. You know, I am just wondering. Almost 4K people watching us. Yes, guys. Almost 4K people are watching us. And we will see this viewership go up after the live has ended. So many people are paying attention to the plight of the Guyanese teachers. And it is no secret that our concern is just and fair. I want to thank the presenters. We're going to take some questions. Brother Samuel, help me regulate. We'll answer some of the questions that you have. But before the questions are answered or the questions are asked, I would just like to share something with you. That in 1999, there was a strike called by the Guyana Trade Union Congress. Matter of fact, it was called by the Guyana Public Service Union, and at that time by the Federal Union of Government Employees. And that strike is on record. So when I heard persons saying that the teachers union is unreasonable, unconscionable, and that nowhere in this world negotiations for resumption includes an advance payment. Right here, this same government in 1999 was in power. And the record shows, and I'm going to pull up my screen, the record shows that for the workers to go back to work for resumption of duty, a 4.6% was paid in advance. These stats don't lie. Give me a few minutes and let me share what I'm saying with you. Here is what it says here. Just ensure I get the right document. It's a little bit old, as you know. This document is aged. Or am I getting the same? All right. Let me just get the correct document for you. I want to start from the beginning. Let's see if this is what it is. All right, no. I want to start from page 1. That would highlight the situation as it is, and very, very important for us to see. Having some trouble getting the right document. Just give me a minute. All right. So
Dr. Light, while you search for that document, the questions are from the Zoom or are they from the Facebook?
We can take from both places because there are some people who didn't get in Zoom. So I'm going to ask the media team to monitor what's happening on Facebook also.
Thank you.
I can't see my screen now. Where did it go? Devil is a liar now. I think my internet signal dropped. But I just want to highlight that in 1999, and you can see from the color of the sheet, all right, so we seem to have another troll on the system here. Brother Martin. All right, here you go. You can see that part of the resumption agreement, and this document can go all the way to the top. It's a memorandum of agreement between the Guyana Public Service Union and the Federation Union of Government Employees and the government of Guyana. And these were the terms of resumption. And some of them, number 1, talks about immediate resumption, and this is in 1999. There shall be no break in service. But the one that I want to focus on is number 6. Number 6 is the sum of 201 million advance payments shall be made. This amount represents an advance of the 4.6 increase offered for 1999 of $101 million together with the government's extra budgetary payment of $100 million. The status of which will be determined by the government in consultation with the unions and the mediation teams within 2 weeks of the arbitration award provided for hereafter. Let me not go further. But we have been labeled as being unreasonable. We have been labeled as being unconscionable. We have been told that nowhere in the world has there ever been advance payment in lieu of resumption or the agreement being discussed. Here in Guyana in 1999, by this government who was in power then, an agreement was inked that gave an advance payment of 4.6%. Colleagues, the statistics do not lie. We post this on our page also. I don't want to take away from the discussion today. And what I want to say is that the thing that the GTU has done, our teachers do. The first thing has been said right here in Guyana for advance in lieu of resumption. And we are making similar demands. The union has put 20% on the table. It's for the government to come and say, look, this is what we prepare to deal with now. As it is, it's negotiation. We've heard from the presenters covering a wide array of areas in the education sector and how the salaries affect the practicing teachers today in this oil-rich economy. And we recognize, we have made it very clear that the teachers of this nation deserve a salary increase. I want to take away from the presenters, but I thought I needed to share that right here in 1999, and a resumption agreement signed by this same government had an advance payment for workers to resume. Not the words of Mark Light, but the archives of this country has it. And I'm sure the Ministry of Labor has it in their archive because they were the ones mediating the process. Let's go to the questions now. Can we have the questions? Are they going to be read?
Yes, I can read the questions and I can help if need be.
And before you go,
Yeah.
I will ask panelists in any order you can indicate. The panelists are responsible for answering the question. So Brother Samuel will read the questions. He's seeing it from his end too. And you will be able to say whether you're going to take the question or not by just showing your hand, right? Go ahead.
But
The very
President, before you go on, are we allowing people to ask oral questions? I saw a question like that in the group. Please indicate.
Provided we can figure out the identity of the person.
I would advise against it. If it's possible for them to send it in a text in the chat, that would be better because we are currently experiencing some challenges as it relates to person wanting to come on the live to disrupt and to cause havoc.
I'm guided, sir. Yes, let's go with that. Let them put it in the form of a worded question. Thank you.
The very first question that I see in the chat is, if the union is unreasonable, then what do we say the government of the day is?
Any takers from the panel? Mr. Mahela, you have the floor to respond.
Thank you for this opportunity. The question is very fair because we're asking for 20% And we see that the government is unwilling to give us 20%, but we also see that the minister's salary is 1.8. And we also saw with the calculation, not even 5 persons salary or 5 persons expenses rather can done that minister's salary or can use out the minister's salary. So I'm saying all of this to say if 20% is unreasonable, a meager 19,000, 20,000 is unreasonable, then I say that our minister, our government is out of touch with reality because our teachers are punishing. After Sister Sad presentation, when you go on Facebook, you go all over, people are saying, I can relate. People are saying, look, this is happening to me. So it is not unique to one person. It is what our teachers are facing on a day-to-day basis. And I'm happy that we have this discussion because it is important that people understand our pain. The numbers look refreshing out there, but when you have to spend the money, the reality is it cannot do. I believe women always find a way to make it work. And when women complain about not making it work, it's a genuine concern and a genuine complaint. Thank you so much.
In addition to that, I'd like to jump on this a little bit. We're talking about being unreasonable. And I'm not one to make political statements, but I believe that this one might cross over a little bit. And I'll give you an explanation as to why. When the previous government took office and they gave themselves 50% increase, there was an outcry like no other in the country. There was an outcry like no other. These persons were roasted for doing that. But the point is, when the present government took office, did they rescind the 50%? Did they give back what they were complaining about? So the duplicity and the hypocrisy is so widespread in this country. Don't talk to me about not being able to afford ice cream at the end of the month for my children if you can have it every single sitting day of your life and still have change left back. Every single day of the month, you can afford to go and do what you want to do with your family. We can't afford recreation. We're asking for survival. Nobody's talking about going on no vacation or having money for vacation. We're asking money for food. And I believe that what the justice ruled, it hit them hard, struck them hard. Teachers asked for bread and were given stones. Who is being unreasonable, really? And I'd like to end off on that note. The next question we have here is a very important question, and I think so some of you might want to jump on this. It says, how can this situation socially impact the Guyanese society in a negative way? Please explain. How can this situation socially impact the Guyanese society in a negative way? Please tell us. Any takers?
And I figure the situation we're speaking about here has to do with the strike. The impasse.
Yes.
Affect the Guyanese society. I see your hand, Sister Mahela.
I really wanted to give another opportunity to somebody else, but I think I should jump in here because it is important we understand what is happening on the ground. Brother President, it is important that we understand the spin-off of what this strike is causing. It is important that every citizen really sit and understand how it impacts them, because everything that impacts a teacher's life impacts every citizen of this country. Let me share with you how. One, the car drivers, once we are on strike, the children are at home, the car drivers doesn't have any money on a daily income, for their income. The canteen operators would not have an income. There are some cleaners who are on contract and so on, will not be operating at work, especially if you are at some of these institutions that would not facilitate that. Every aspect of whatever happens to teachers affects that. I remember some time ago, stall owner in the market reached me, Miss, Oh, Ayakala for strike. I don't know the woman. I don't know the woman. The woman saw my face publicly and she said, Miss, Ayakala for strike now. We are punished bad. I said, tell me how. And she explained that parents, while the children eat ETS, they're not going to market as frequent to buy as much as they usually buy when they are going to school. So what they do is create maybe a snack setup for the children versus creating the larger scale of food that they would do on a day-to-day basis when they're at school. I'm saying all of this to say every citizen of this country should join the teachers in calling for a better wage, better salary increase. Because when we have it, it's going back into the very supermarkets. It's going back into the very markets. It's going back somewhere where society benefits and not just teachers in itself. Because at the end of the day, our needs are real, our needs are just, and our needs are should be catered for. Because I have said this umpteen times, somewhere or the other, if we don't address this, people will go hungry in this country. And it's not until it becomes a pandemic, only then we will understand the nature of what is happening. If our salaries cannot feed ourselves and the mouths of our children and those who depend on us, and we have people in this country who are drawing even less, and they have to make that work. For example, I know that there's some people who draw $80,000 and $60,000 and have 3 and 4 and 5 mouths to feed. It is not until we go hungry in this country, then somebody will listen to us. And I pray God that doesn't happen.
Thank you. And somebody added in the chat there saying that not to mention the impact it's having on literacy and numeracy, and that has got to be on the school. Mr. Revati, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Sister Mahalai because I was hurt hearing people saying that teachers are uncaring and we're striking because we're selfish and all these things. It goes back to me being a mother. My child is home from school too. He's not being able to access education because of the strike. So it's not like teachers plan this because we have some ulterior motive. It's because we're in need. We are suffering and we want our voices to be heard. And I can remember long ago as a child growing up, teachers were like ministers and the captains of villages. They were very important people. And to see now that I got growing up, all I wanted to do was be a teacher, and to become a teacher, and the reality is that we're treated as nobodies, it breaks my heart. It really does.
Thank you, Sister Revati.
Wow, this is very emotional for all of us. Very.
Brother Martin, I saw a sister saying presentations have been touching because she can relate not being able to buy ice cream for her children. Not many children, but she mentioned not having enough money to take care of entertainment. Brother Imran?
Yeah, I just want to share a thought here and to say that this administration, like other governments, at the time where governments are expected to lay in the National Assembly their budgets or that appropriation bill, one of the things that almost every single minister of government will speak about is the notion of disposable income. And we've got to understand that as teachers, we have taught these guys much of the concepts that are being used at these forums for their presentations. And they themselves sometimes, maybe it's contradictory that they will stand on certain platforms to echo the notions of oh, how well it is for us and how important it is for us as a government or as a responsible minister to be able to allow our people to have a greater disposable income because they understand the correlation between what a disposable income or better disposable income is towards people's social existence. And so it becomes very hypocritical when the very people who speaks of the importance of improving the disposable income of the citizenry on one side, and then on the other hand, they debunk or they don't want to understand or to put into context how that disposable income affects the livelihood or the social well-being of the very citizens that they're seemingly defending. So as educators, in like manner in which we would have schooled them about the importance of a proper disposable income, we've got to maybe do a little bit more work for them to understand that you cannot only speak of a disposable income, but you've got to look at how impacting that income, that disposable income is going to be towards the life of the people to whom you're serving. And maybe the minister needs to understand this, that we're asking, we understand, we know the correlation, we understand if people are paid better, their social existence is obviously going to be at a different, it's going to be elevated. And if we're elevated within our social existence and we're able to take care of all of our needs and we're able to, our basic amenities are being satisfied, we're going to contribute more. And that's what the harsh reality here is. Correlation, correlation, and correlation. Nothing happens without to have a relationship or an impact.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Sir Imran, thank you very much.
Before you read the other question, what is noted is that between 2019 and 2023, that prices of food, basic food items would have gone up by about 37%. Prices of food between the year 2019 to 2023, prices of food would have gone up significantly. So even when we ask for a 20% increase, it doesn't treat with the price of food only, much less other commodities that we depend on. So rightfully, if the government wants us to speak about 2024, they should be talking about 50% and more, because if food alone is 37%, then think about the other things that we utilize on a daily basis, as you alluded by the SAMRU in your budget. We can't be talking about a single digit, or even 20% is minimal because it doesn't cater for food increase. And so one has got to understand why the teachers of this country are really taking a stand and have given the union the go ahead to take this position, because it's becoming unbearable. Cannot wait a day longer for it to happen. Thank you. Question.
The question says, if there is a breakdown in talks, what will be our union's next step? What would be our union's next step?
All right, the panelists. Good, that's an excellent question.
I think it's good to bear in mind that you don't want to give up your battle plans, because there are elements who may be listening. The trust that we would have exercised in the union thus far needs to be maintained, because of the mere fact that, you saw what was happening just now a few minutes ago with persons wanting to come on the live to disrupt it and cause havoc. You don't give up your battle plans just like that. You trust your commander, you trust your leaders. They have done a fine job so far, even with the legal fraternity. And so it's important that you maintain that trust with your union and understand that the union has your back, and we need your support at every step of the way.
Thank you, Brother Samuel. That was well said, that you have to keep your critical plans and next steps close to your stomach, because it seems as though the challenges will continue, because this has been an ongoing, I just shared with you in 1999, a complete strike that had to be settled through arbitration. And just recently in 2018, the union had to go on a strike. But this year alone, in the matter of 3 months, matter of fact, 2 months, we have gone on strike twice. So it is really challenging, and obviously the union's leadership has tried to deal with this in the best way possible, and we want to use the opportunity to appeal to all our teachers to support your union leadership. This is a difficult time for all of us, and we have to stand together. That's all I would say on that.
There is another question that was sent in. Should our employers continue in the present vein, is there any consideration for a centralized mass demonstration at the MOE? At least teachers from the coastland or near the riverine areas.
Yes, all of those are considerations, and the leadership is cognizant of the fact that this strike, the impact must be felt across the country. Impact should not be felt in Georgetown. Our teachers in every education district are affected, and therefore our presence in every education district speaks volume. And that is what we have done. But if there is a need to bring more people to Central Georgetown, we will certainly take that step. So that is not something that cannot be considered and implemented.
All right, so what we would have done basically now is we're going to lock the meeting and enable a waiting room. Persons who have been in the meeting so far, Dr. Light, I believe we can allow them to ask the oral questions, because there will be no new entries. And so no person to be disrespectful or to give any trouble at all. Maybe we can consider asking persons, if they'd like to ask a question, you can raise your hand and we can unmute you to listen to what those questions are.
Definitely. So we've been here for the last 2 hours or so. So I'll suggest we take another 20-25 minutes to wrap up. So as many questions as possible can come in, and panelists, I know, based on their presentation and the quality we have with these 6 panelists, I'm sure that your questions will be well answered when shared. We'll also remain vigilant for those persons who may still be on the live and maybe sitting waiting for this opportunity. But yes, we can unmute. So raise your hand, and if you'd like to ask a question verbally, go ahead by raising your hand, and we'll unmute you.
Is there a hand that is up? In the meantime, someone made a comment that the minister suddenly removed the end of term exam or the annual examination from the school system for this term and implemented continuous assessment. Education is really going to the ... I believe I can formulate a question from that statement. Maybe some of us would be able to share our views as to why that step was taken. Is there any reason in particular you think that this was done as a calculated move at this present time at the current impasse of industrial action? Any takers from the panel?
Sister Mahela, you have your hand up.
Yes, definitely. The ministry is of the opinion that they have the numbers and them alone, because I heard the minister saying that our numbers should not be trusted. The minister even reached out to say, go far as much to say that the union cannot access those numbers. Now, my question, just to sidetrack a little, if there are teachers in every school that can give the ministry numbers, why can they be the very teachers who are giving us numbers? That's all I want to say on that topic. But a quick one to answer the question. The ministry knows the impact that the strike is having on the school system. Let's not fool ourselves. They have the numbers. I have seen the numbers in my branch. And every day we are seeing that members of the union, the teachers, are supporting us daily. Because while, of course, we always know when a struggle or a movement starts. They understand for us to start that, look, everybody will not jump on board at the same time. So people will stay back and watch to see who is going to be there. And after then, it will keep increasing. In New Amsterdam, I can speak specifically, and I dare anyone to prove my numbers wrong. Every day for the last week, we would have had an increase into the 60s, and it's going skyrocketing into the 70s. I'm saying this to say the Ministry of Education knows the impact. If they call a test now, it's going to be empty classrooms because our children are not prepared to do any tests at this point. They have not been adequately taught the curriculum. I am not proud of that, because I believe our place is in the classroom. I believe our place should have been to teach the nation's children. But the reality is the ministry doesn't want us to do that. From the time we come out in the street, the ministry should have reached with us. How can we solve this? How can we help? How can we ensure that the nation's children are for the first priority? But there we have everybody in government and the powers there be strong-handing and strong-arming our union to say, look, every day there is a press release, every day there is a circular, every day there is a memo, every day there is a live attacking teachers, rather than sitting to meet with teachers and say, how can we help? My thing is, it is a negotiation stage. There's nothing written in stone. Come to us and say, look, we can give you this. This is what we would want to have, and let's work on improving for the rest of the coming years. But do not say to me that I'm asking you for 20%, and 20% of that on my salary is about $25,000. That I would even go into the supermarket and I still can't have my amenities or my necessities being met. And you're telling me that is unreasonable. And I'm saying to you in no uncertain terms, again, the ministry knows the impact the strike is having on the teaching system, the education sector. And so they have resorted to that. You know what I found even more funny? They have resorted for the streaming for us to go back to some previous time grades and all of that. And so we should not look at only this term, and we should look at some other terms and so on. I saw that memo and I laughed heartily. I said, hats off, GTU. We are making an impact. Our numbers, we have our numbers. We know what the numbers are looking at. And don't worry with anybody who says that we can't get the numbers. The same way the teacher, the ministry can get the numbers, we can have the numbers as well.
Thank you. Very sharp. I see I see Mr. Ali, one of the panelists. He has his hand up. Go ahead.
Yes. Let me just jump in here quickly, and I gave this comment against having to be an educator, one who is at the helm of a secondary institution. And I want to say that that decision that we've seen in that memo, it is testimony that this government has absolutely no care and consideration for the learners of this country. It speaks to their unwillingness to be able to perpetuate this whole notion of quality education. And let me make reference to this very quickly. Our learners, particularly at the secondary level, and of course at the primary too, we are preparing children for external exams or for what is called a summative exam, whether it's end of the year, but you know, at the secondary level, it's for them to be thoroughly prepared for this external exam, which is CXC and CAPE. With the way in which the evaluation is being rolled out, this continuous evaluation, scarcely are children allowed the opportunity to have an experience of being on the examinations condition where they can understand the principles and the tenets of what it means to be tested using this sort of structure and an instrument. It is a way of, this annual exam is a way of having to induct our learners to what a summative evaluation is in the form of a test. The fact that we have decided, the fact that the ministry has decided to pull a plug on the exam, rather than addressing the teachers' issues so we could get back into the classroom, we could get back into our leadership positions to continue to prepare our learners, they have decided to cheat and to rob our children of this great experience, an induction experience where they can use this opportunity to refine and sharpen their skills to sit an external exam, which could happen in another year based on with the current grade 10, but they've chosen the approach of non-engagement. They've chosen the alternative of having to discredit and not having to work along with the union to settle the impasse. Rather, they have chosen to put our children in a situation, a rather precarious situation, where they're being denied of an educational opportunity that could have sharpened their skills and prepare them for a better outcome in the future. Really ridiculous.
Thank you, Brother Imran. There was somebody up early on, wanted to hear from a Samuel, somebody by the name of Samuel. I think they lowered their hand. All right. Part of the comment is saying that our panelists are more open-minded and sharp. Kudos to the panelists. You guys are described as the open-minded and the sharp. Excellent. I think you've done an excellent job. So in keeping with time, you have another 5 minutes. I'll ask all of you in a minute or so, in 1 minute, so give your closing remarks. Sharp shooters indeed. So let's start with Brother Felton, your closing remarks. In a minute, 1 minute you'll take to give your closing remarks.
All right, good. Yeah, good afternoon again, everyone. Thank you, Brother President. I'd just like to say that we should not lower our guards down, but we should be steadfast and to keep fighting. And I just want to say this, that I think, I'm not saying, I'm saying I think that the ministry may want to victimize some of us, because I have a very strong feeling that I was already victimized by the Ministry of Education. Reason saying so is because I was involved in a marking of the National Grade 6 assessment from since 2016 to 2023. And I was even promoted to examiner in that marking process from 2020 to 2023. However, this year, I was not invited. As a matter of fact, prior to the commencement of the exams, I was a part of an English markers group, and I was removed by a senior official from NSERD. A few days after I called that individual, the same official that removed me from the group, inquiring why was I removed from the group. And the officer told me that she was instructed to. I also inquired because a lot of my colleagues called and they were saying, we were invited, we received emails, have you? I said, no, I did not. And so I inquired as well why I was not invited. And the official told me that the Ministry of Education this year has took it upon themselves to select markers for the National Grade 6 assessment. So in my personal opinion, I think because I was at the helm of the strike for Region 2, I was one of the teachers who led the strike in Region 2. I think that I was victimized there by the ministry. I'm not saying that I was, but I think I was. So we've got to be very careful, but we cannot allow to let our guards on. We've got to keep steadfast, keep this battle going, and we've got to trust and pray that things work our way. The government need to come on board, negotiate with us. We all need a comfortable lives. They have been having that from the top brackets, and I think it is time that the citizens of this country be treated the way they ought to be treated. More so educators, because we are the backbone of this nation, or educators in general are the backbone of any society. So that's all I have to say, Brother President, and other team panel, members of the panel, and other teachers who are on this discussion. Thank you for having me, and I trust that things will work our way. Have a blessed day, and let's continue to keep praying and trusting. God will never turn his back upon us. We are his children, and let us continue to trust him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Felton. You know, God is good, and as a believer myself, that is very petty. To be removed from a process because you've taken a stand, and that is if that is correct, and based on what you're saying, being removed from 2 panels or two activities critical to this nation, not for your competence, but for your stance. It's a clear indication that it's a victimized situation, and that is why the union will always include part of our resumption clause that victimization must not ever take place. We know that God will provide for you because he promises not to leave us nor forsake us. Stay strong, my brother. All 5.7 K personnel have heard you, and they will be asking the questions to the powers that this live is going far and wide. 5.7 K last time we checked. And then there are going to be other viewers as well when the live has ended. We're going to take Brother Durga. Brother Durga, your final thoughts, closing remarks. You can unmute yourself, Brother Durga. Yes. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon once again. In closing, I just would like to say thank you once again for having us. And I want to encourage all our members, all our teachers, all our supporters to continue supporting us in this struggle. But I want to say this, we know in whom we trust, and we know our victory is near. But we have to continue to pray. We have to continue to do what we have to do. And we know that exactly we are within our rights. So we don't have to be afraid. And I want to encourage all members that things will get better because we have already achieved more than one victory, and we have the better victories to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Dorgas. We are so pleased that you are leading the struggle at your end, and we do appreciate contributions you've made, validly indicating why our men are shying away from the profession of teaching. All right, we're moving along nicely, and we will go to Sister Rewati, and she will give our closing remarks.
Thank you, Brother Mark. In closing, I just want to thank the Guyana Teachers Union for giving me this opportunity to speak. I want to say kudos to the panelists. I want to thank you for your contribution to this conversation. And I want to use this time to encourage everyone listening to continue to be an advocate, because teachers do deserve the increase we're asking for, and to continue to be a voice for change. Now, I want to say to the Ministry of Education and to the government of Guyana and to all those who have the power to change the situation, rather than being perceived as adversaries, I plead with you to listen to the plight of teachers and take our proposal into serious consideration. And I must say to all teachers in this country, I hope that you are seeing that it is very evident that the union cares about our welfare. So let's continue to stand strong with them. I leave you saying solidarity forever.
Long live the GT. Excellent. Thank you, Sister Rewati. You've done marvelously well. I don't know if this is your first pitch at this level, but you have certainly made a mark. And I believe your colleagues, all in the teaching fraternity, are very proud of what you have done today, enlightening us. We are so blessed. And I have to big up the first timers, because we know the first timers. When I reached out to Sister Rewati, Sister Sarmar, Prezi, like you're surprised that she's being identified. Kudos to you. Brother Imran, you have the floor for your final comments.
Thank you very much, Brother President and Moderator. I just want to extend gratitude to the leadership of the Guyana Teachers Union for allowing not just myself, but of course my other colleagues to have served as your panelists for today's discussion. It was a great honor and a privilege having to be here and to share our thoughts on the respective areas that were highlighted for us to speak on. That being said, let me take this opportunity to encourage all of our listeners, particularly our teachers, to say we must stand as a collective, continue to stand as a collective, continue to stand united, and that the work of the union must never be defeated. Brothers and sisters, our forefathers fought long and hard for workers' representation, for the rights of workers to be on the forefront when it comes to the labor movement. There's always going to be, there has always been, and there will always be the purpose for unions, not only in this country, but in this region and the world at large. More than ever are we living in a global society where we're seeing the impact and the contributions of unions across the world representing workers' issue, and how well they have banded together towards their charges, towards ensuring that workers' rights are given the kind of attention that is warranted in resolving industrial disputes, among other matters. I say to us that this, what we're seeing unfolding, is very unkind to us as educators, but that if we continue to band together in the works of the union, the Guyana Teachers Union, and that the purpose of the union is never defeated, then we're guaranteed that we're going to have a positive outcome. Stay strong, solidarity forever. God bless.
Long live GTU, long live. Excellent, Brother Imran, and can always rely on you for your eloquence and profound presentations. And like your colleagues, you guys have done marvelously well, and we are asking all of you to get your presentations into us so that we can share it wide and far. We are certainly honored. And I know if we have another panel and we bring 6 other persons, that we will have the same kind of outcome, because in the education sector, in the classrooms and at the school, there's where the real minds are. People with the know-how, the skill to really produce the kind of outcomes that we have seen in this country. And I want to say to you all that you have done extremely well. At this time we move along, we have Brother Martin, your final thoughts.
I would want to say to all far and wide that this struggle that we're in, it's a just one. Speaking about victimization, I would have suffered as well. I'm not going to tell you some of the things that I would have suffered because I don't want to put fear in any one of you. But I want to remind you that as long as your motive is just, your purpose is right, then there's no reason to be afraid as long as you trust in your Heavenly Father. I would want to say this as well, that modern day slavery is alive and kicking in this country. Because we are titled as public servants, it seems as though they want to take us for slaves. Because if we're working for $2 a day and you approach your employer and you say that, you know, based on how expensive things are, you deserve 3, and he ends up giving you 1, then it only means one thing, that they want to keep you as slaves. Now, as GTU, representing all teachers across this country, we stand up for you to end slavery, to end this impasse, to let people understand that this issue is not just about wanting more money, but it's equity. We're looking at equity. We want to be treated fairly. We want to feel valued. Even if at the end of the day, they end up giving that 20% or whatever the case is, many of us are not comfortable in the workplaces yet. They can brag and boast about doing this and that because we care. But what have you done for your teachers? What have you done for their disposable income? What have you done for them so that they could do something extra for their families? You've done nothing. So it's time they get off their high horses. And even I will go so far as to say there's a particular reason why they never want to have an open debate or a discussion about these things. It's because they know that they are in the wrong. It's important for us to know that this is not a political struggle. It is a struggle for bread. It is a struggle for bread. And I would want to close in saying that as long as we trust in our Heavenly Father, we will not beg for bread, because justice might be slow, but it is sure. And when you fall into the hands of an angry God, have mercy on you. Long live the GTU, solidarity forever.
Long live, long live, long live, long live. Thank you, Brother Samru, and we value your technical skill to contend with. Help us this program, because we saw the distraction some people wanted to create not to get this message out. But we thank the Lord for equipping you so that you could have quickly stepped in and deal with this. And that is how God works. Keep the devil out. And you know, yesterday our day of prayer would have prepared us for this. We're not going to be frustrated. We just move along, get the devil out of the way, and we move along. Thanks be to God. Finally, this young lady opened the game, and she's been doing a lot of work behind the scene. And Sister Mahela is always willing and ready to get the business, whatever sector she's in. If she is, I remember when she was in my management class, just count on her. Sister Mahela, I want you to do so. She gets it done. And I believe that is a good quality that she has. You have the privilege of today starting the program, ending the program. What?
Thank you, Dr. Light, and it's always a privilege having you around as well, because I think, like I have always said to people, all my education life, whether CPC, university, management, everything that you were was somewhat my lecturer or master trainer. So I'm grateful to have you as well. I wish to leave with our teachers. John Lewis said something that left with an imprint on my mind. And so every time I tend to speak up and speak out, I remember this quote that he says, never ever be afraid to make some noise and get into good trouble, because it is necessary trouble. Sometimes they will come at us. Sometimes they will try to victimize us. Sometimes they will do all they have to do to us. But you know what? It is necessary trouble, because I believe with all my heart that when this is all over, we are going to look back at this and we're going to have a good chat and we're going to have a good laugh, because some of us will be tired, some of us will be drained. But you know what? We all reap the benefits of it all. And so sometimes, even though we are going to be tired, we're going to be drained, it is the fruits of our labor that will speak volume. And so, brother President, I'm grateful for your leadership. I think GTU, the teachers are grateful for your leadership, and continue along with your executive, along with the General Council, continue to be that driving force and ensure that the teachers of this nation gets what they deserve. I believe teachers, I've always said, is the bedrock. Teachers are the bedrock of our society. Whatever happens to us or affects us affects all of society. And so I am so grateful to be a part of this panel. Thank you for our viewers, our listeners. Thank you for all of those who would have made or valuable contribution. And thank you so much for this opportunity, Dr. Light.
Thank you, Ms. Mugilai, and let me just thank the panelists for their willingness to appear, show your face or your faces, and to make your detailed presentations. And like someone said in the comment, that with this kind of group panelists, GTU is in good hands. And I want to go further by saying, not GTU is in good hands. I believe the trade union movement, and out of the trade union movement, we also see emerging politicians. And it has been not only nationally, but internationally known that a lot of our great leaders come out of trade union movement. So we're not dealing with politics, we're dealing with the trade union movement here. And I see a young caliber of willing, and all of you look very young, like you're in your 20s or something, right? All right, that you have done such a marvelous job today, and you know, you just send goosebumps on my skin to see. I'm on the verge of turning the next corner, and you guys are the emerging leaders. GTU, like we said, is
when the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? The union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. They have taken untold billions that they never told to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single will return. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? For union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
They have taken untold billions that they never told to earn. But without our brain and muscle, not a single will return. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong.